play in the ULCS historically not getting 9 wins, so they don't want to be that statistic. As here we go.
Draven banned away, the Yasuo going to follow, Lucian on the opposite side as well, so aggressive potential bot laners abound.
And I was curious how Fnatic were going to sculpt this draft to get that firepower into Rekkles' hands. Of the last, I think, 4 to 5 games he's played, he's looked for those crit ADCs, and one of them already bites the dust right there with the Tristana ban, but you have to assume that one of the priority picks is going to be something like his Sivir.
Yeah, it absolutely will be, especially with so many things being taken off the board. And I like that you talk about firepower, because you say put it in the hands of Rekkles. If I'm Origen, I put it in the hands of Nukeduck. This guy is a rookie killer, and if you save last pick for him up against Nemesis, he's going to have a field day in the mid lane.
And the reason you can call him rookie killer is because he killed Nemesis last time they played. He obliterated him on that Vayne mid pick, and you know the Nemesis is going to want to get a little bit of revenge here, see how they can set him up, because they are on blue side. They don't have the luxury of that last pick, but with a Thresh banned away, Fnatic now debating their first pick options, and they go for the Galio.
Interesting. I suspect this is actually going to be a Galio support, just because that's been the trend that we've seen over in the LCK. If you haven't seen how this works, it has a lot of push potential. It's a low econ champion, so even though you're not getting the same gold value as you would a mid lane Galio, it still packs a lot of punch from the support position.
Yeah, that being said, Nemesis has taken it mid lane twice so far this split, so it is a flex here for Fnatic.
But he did that against Nukeduck and he got counterpicked with Vayne mid. I don't think you make the same mistake twice here.
Oh man, absolutely brutal. Urgot, of course, going to be locked in. Not very surprising to see that one. This is 9-3, not 9-4, where the big Urgot nerfs have come in. Big increases to the mana cost on some of those abilities. And Kold now debating what his pick is going to be in this first rotation.
Yeah, and for junglers, I'm looking at the Lee Sin right here, because I know Kold likes the champion, Broxah really likes the champion, and it's one of those champs that can really make an early impact in the game and start getting your lanes going.
See, he's looking jungle. I'm still looking for the top lane. If you lock in Alphari on Urgot there, and we assume it's the top lane Urgot.
That was fast.
Oh, I was going to say that's a free Jace pick for Bwipo. Bwipo talked about this on euphoria, that if a team locks in Urgot, it's basically just saying, are you going to play the Jace? But since he didn't pick up at that rotation, so easy for Origen to ban Ken and Jace here and make sure that Alphari gets a free matchup.
Exactly. They want to buy space for Alphari in the top lane, and Fnatic, they don't want to give space to anyone because this combo is absolutely deadly. The Galio being locked in next to Zoe means it will be going into the bottom lane. Paired up with the Nocturne means heavy engage, and also the darkness makes it super easy for Zoe to just smash you with poke from long range.
And of course, immediately we see Mithy, no hesitation, locks into Tahm Kench, is going to do whatever he can to stop this.
So because they didn't go for the Bwipo bans on the Jace and the Kennen to get Alphari the good matchup, and instead they're throwing everything at Rekkles, this can either go into that top lane, cut down that champion pool. Sylas is also available, has a good matchup at Urgot, or maybe you throw a Jinx ban here and you really test Rekkles' champion pool.
Yeah, because I think right now Fnatic, what they need to find in the bottom lane for Rekkles is going to be sustained damage. Right now you have a lot of upfront burst, you have big ultimates to try and initiate the fight. What you need now is Rekkles to be able to have something that can come out from the backline with heavy artillery. Bwipo, I think, should be on something a little bit tankier, maybe even the Sion, just to sort of absorb pressure here for Rekkles to give him space.
Now we see the options being hovered across. I cannot imagine it will be a Camille on 9-3.
I think they may be trolling Bwipo.
Okay, all right, here we go.
So I actually really like this matchup into Zoe here with the LeBlanc. She can force onto LB very easily. We saw Jizuke do similar things on the Echo earlier in today's games, and the LeBlanc also has the added benefit of just going side lane later on and smashing anyone that tries to match her.
And there's the Sion that you requested right there. Because Yorick was banned away, another champion who also has a good matchup into Urgot. It is the tank. And Bwipo again said it on euphoria. I'll take the tank. I'll go down, 20 CS in the lane because I know that my ADC has everything set up for him to play front to back.
And Rekkles, of course, had the option between a Jinx and a Kaisa is really the two remaining carries here. But now we see this comp locked in. So much semi-global pressure coming in from Fnatic, but on the opposite side, why are you guys hugging about this?
Because we finally got our Nunu game.
I've been waiting.
As soon as I saw Maxler pull it out, I was taking all the Nunu notes. I'm like, I'm ready to go deep on Nunu, really explain how this champion works for compositions. And Kold finally gave it to me, and I finally get to cast Nunu. But we'll cover it more in game.
Okay, now interestingly, you can see how cautious Origen are playing around the potential picks coming in from this Fnatic composition. Because not only do they have a Tahm Kench, they have a Tahm Kench with Cleanse on the bottom side of the map. So Patrik should not die this game. That is the thing that I'm taking away here.
Yeah, there should be a lot of safety for the this bottom lane, but hey, Fnatic's bot lane is looking pretty good too. I think you have a lot of pushing power with the Kaisa next to the Galio, and Galio also has multiple forms of CC to sort of rapidly stack that Kaisa passive for some pretty impressive burst damage.
And you would expect that Fnatic will at least keep their bot lane safe if they want to be forward and aggressive in that lane, since it is the Tahm Kench and the Ezreal facing against them. I actually expect a lot of action to be towards the top side of the map, either between that mid and that top position, while you just create a safety net for Hilly and Rekkles on bot.
Yeah, the top lane definitely going to be an interesting matchup to watch. We've seen so much Sion versus Urgot. It's almost getting a little bit boring, but hey, this game looks really, really fun and explosive. Both junglers have the tools to make plays, especially for Nocturne around level 6, and the mid lane matchup is going to be absolutely crucial to the success for both of these teams.
And when mid lane's crucial, jungle is crucial, and I want to see where the Nocturne goes, where the Nunu goes, who can use their junglers to find a bigger edge here in the early game. Of course, a very historic matchup when we look back and forth across the names that are playing against each other on stage today. The crowd is alive here in Berlin. Fnatic Jarvan ready to go, not picked in this game, but standing by to support his squad. Ladies and gentlemen, Fnatic versus Origen, a very different tale from what it once was in 2015, but an exciting matchup nonetheless, as pressure is on for both these lineups.
We come into this game with Fnatic drafting so many tools to make plays. The Fnatic faithful in the crowd behind them as well. Nemesis, eyes on him to be finding the picks here, finding the damage, and trying to get Fnatic some important wins.
Crowd alive for Fnatic.
I feel like I'm back in the LPL with how lively this crowd is.
Ready to go. One-sided affair, the fans definitely in favor of Fnatic. Nemesis, though, now going to be in trouble. Tahm Kench going to lay down a bit more damage, but that's going to force it back here. Soon enough to potentially mitigate some of the action going on. Minions will just now spawn, so Nemesis is going to be pretty sad in this early laning phase.
Ooh. Nice ward clear there with the Urgot W at level 1. Very good at neutralizing vision. Now there's no wards up on the top side of the map, and that river ward is so crucial for knowing where the enemy jungler is, but Fnatic know where these guys are.
Oh, gonna go immediately in for Patrik. They know Mithy doesn't have the Devour available. First blood!
And the thing is they didn't have sight about where Rekkles and Hilly are, so they assumed that they would be leashing for Broxah and didn't check that brush. Easy first blood. The nice silver lining is that Patrik still retains his flash and does use the summoner teleport to get immediately back into the lane.
Yeah, it's so crucial because otherwise you're going to be losing out on minions. You're not going to be hitting level 2 anytime soon, and Rekkles Hylissang get to take complete control over the lane. As it is right now, Rekkles hasn't actually gone back to base, so he hasn't spent his gold. So right now, they are on equal footing.
And of course, Rekkles is always a guy that we're going to look at when we talk about Fnatic. I think anytime there are big expectations on the shoulders of that Fnatic lineup, you know Rekkles is the one that people are looking at, and this is a fantastic start, giving us exactly what we expect from Hylissang as well, with these kind of aggressive plays early on in the game.
And already Broxah is making full use of the fact that they do have priority in the bot lane. He's invading. He's now created a split vertical jungle. You can see that Kold probably thinks that something's up while he takes that Scuttle Crab. We'll see if he trades blue for blue, and this is
They're going to keep
ambitious.
the aggression going. That's a level 1 Tahm Kench. They're going to go right onto him. Great health. Explosive early game from Fnatic. Hylissang does trade, but the kill goes to the Tahm Kench.
And not even an assist there for Patrik, so it's still going to be a worthwhile trade here. As Broxah is able to get a level 2 tower dive on Nocturne, I can firmly say I have never seen that before.
And here's the thing, it's not just that, it's also the fact that it's a split map. So by doing this, there's less advantage for Kold to ever go bottom, so it means that Hilly and Rekkles are safe to continue to punish this with the advantage that they've already been given.
Yeah, and there's nothing really for Kold to do on the top side of the map. Right now, we're at a point in the game where Alphari's just going to be pushing in. All Kold can do is simply farm and protect him, but you can see bottom lane is not getting any protection with this incredible dive from Fnatic.
And just showcasing why the Galio priority pick was such a big deal and why it's been taking over the LCK right now. Hilly looking great on the champ.
Yeah, I mean, the champion just, with the Q, gets you push priority. Now, no flash on Patrik, no cleanse on Mithy. Target selection will be key, but man, I don't know. Broxah looking for all these early plays on the Nocturne is pretty crazy.
And he can still do that because Hilly still has flash, and the flash taunt is still a viable option for some kill pressure down here. Now, quickly talking about this this Nunu, one of the coolest things about Nunu is his gank pressure and how you need deep wards to catch it out. Because of how the snowball eliminates the cap on the movement speed, he can charge that up, and it's basically like playing against a Rammus Powerball. His the warding has to be so deep to catch him out, and he can have so much threat on these lanes.
Yeah, and I think it's actually a ton of that early on in the game before the members of Fnatic can purchase boots. Because once you get boots against the Nunu, it becomes so much easier to sort of outmaneuver and walk into the corners. He tries to turn around and he can't quite make that happen. So it's the boots 1 and the boots 2, more importantly, where Nunu's engage really will start to fall flat later on.
Now, one of the things that we talked about coming into this matchup was the big matchup between Nukeduck and Nemesis, because historically it has been a weak point. And while the bot side for Fnatic looks good right now, Nemesis has remained kind of a question mark. And you see this kind of exactly as expected in Week 5, where he had one very good game and one very rough game on the Kassadin.
Yeah, and I mean, the last time these two teams faced, Nemesis did not look good. He was counterpicked in the mid lane. Again, he is counterpicked, and this sort of feels like something we see a lot from Fnatic, where he's not put in a very good position to succeed. He still has some moments of brightness, but it is very difficult for him to make things happen until he gets jungle assistance. And in this lane, I think that there is some kill threat at level 6 with the Nocturne Zoe combo, especially since Nukeduck does not have cleanse.
Going forward does miss the chains though, managed to proc the electrocute, but waiting and baiting, and here comes the big snowball on the backside, but it's not going to connect. Hylissang ready to flash in a moment's notice. Now Nukeduck is the one running for his life. Kold now in trouble as Rekkles is here. Gotta get the kill down. Broxah's here as well. Nukeduck cut down. Fnatic right where they need to be.
And not even 5 minutes 30 into this game, and Fnatic are showcasing that scrims have obviously gone well because they are alive in this early game. 4 kills on the board. You could not have said this about the previous 4 Fnatic games.
And I mean, you just would not expect that either, where Hylissang roams up to the mid lane, followed up by a teleport in by Rekkles. It was almost picture perfect from them there. Right as we say they don't put the resources into Nemesis, they set up a multi-step plan to shut down Nukeduck and get their mid laner a couple kills.
And the thing is they didn't expect Hilly to be there. They thought he was back in base with Rekkles. So there's probably no call that you're about to have a Galio flying into your lane, and then just beautifully timed with the TP from Rekkles, who was waiting in base for the call.
Yeah, and then you get the immediate burst down onto Kold there, who had the flash but didn't have a good opportunity to use it. And I mean, it just sets up for a very explosive mid game with a composition that we know can be.
And for Rekkles, obviously, when he is doing well, Fnatic is doing well, and you can see that here. Hylissang, of course, the man roaming to set up these plays, but Rekkles not hesitating to follow with the teleport. And now Fnatic find themselves with a very comfortable 1K gold lead.
And I do want to start talking about what this composition can do. We know that they're going to come online on level 6, but the backline dive of a Zoe, Nocturne, Galio, Kaisa. Just think about that. Everyone and their mother can fly back there with every single ultimate, and they can cause such chaotic fights and rip Origen open from the inside if they ever springboard ahead.
Yeah, and that's where Origen have to play these fights very cautiously, because they do have very good defensive tools, right? You have Ezreal, but Tahm Kench getting slammed.
Gonna have to use that thick skin. Doesn't even get the chance.
Doesn't look defensive right now.
No.
God. Hylissang just standing in front of Rekkles, body blocking all those mystic shots, and you can see desperately Patrik is trying to get some mana back, has a biscuit in the inventory, but just can't even trade here.
You know, I talked about this earlier in the day, but Rekkles is sort of a player that in this new year had to pick up more of the slack here on Fnatic in terms of carrying the team. And what he did was he tried to play a lot of lane dominant champions and use that to make a bigger impact in these games. And he struggled with it for a while, but now with that early first blood and the way that both him and Hylissang have been playing this 2 versus 2, it has looked very, very promising for the future of this Fnatic squad.
And as we look at across the board, once again, checking on the gold, almost 2K now in the favor of Fnatic. We checked in a minute ago, and already they've grown their gold lead exponentially. The one weak point for them at this point is Bwipo in an unfavorable matchup on the top side as Alphari just continues to apply the pressure. But he's sitting pretty. We heard about this on Euphoria. He says, hey, yeah, you can make me go 20, 30, 40 CS down in a game. I don't mind taking a losing matchup. When my team is winning the game, it just will not matter. For OG, trying to claw back a little bit here with an advantage with an Ocean Drake.
Okay, Paranoia is available here. Here comes Broxah.
No, just leaps right into the pit. Is now Kold is going to heal up so quickly. Will be able to grab that one in the end, but the follow-up is here. Mithy now trying to run for his life. Has saved the AD carry, but Rekkles just goes right in. He says, this is a feast for me. Unstoppable from the Sion. The blast cone is there. Decimating smash. If he charges up, he can hit a target. Big damage! Zoe, so much damage here. The dive, the patience coming in. Mithy, no hope. The double kill now for Nemesis. Bwipo finally gets to join the party, and Fnatic are popping off.
Look at that dive. Precision on the side of Fnatic, and the crowd is going wild here because they have a 2,000 gold lead over the team that just beat G2 last week.
And the consolation prize, of course, is the fact that Kold manages to secure the Ocean Dragon. Hard to outsmite the likes of a Nunu when he has that consume available to him as well as the smite. But the paranoia, Broxah was able to get the level 6 first and goes in to start this play off.
And you see the power of this engage right here because Hylissang gets a 2-man taunt to leave room for Broxah to single out Kold. Then some miscommunication there as Mithy eats a Kold that just flashed, leaves room for Rekkles to ulti straight back into the backline. All 4 members of Fnatic show up for some massive burst damage by Nemesis, and the rest is just too easy.
And it just physically hurts me to watch Zoe pop off like this. It's a terrifying sight. And now for Nukeduck, he was sitting pretty. He was winning trades, and suddenly he looks down and he goes, why does my lane opponent have 2 kills, guys? What happened here? And Nemesis gonna feel so much more comfortable in this lane. We have to remember, last time we played, he was down 30 or 40 CS, and Rekkles is 3-0-4. This man, he is so content to keep farming these people for gold, to keep mining away at this Tahm Kench, that he's gotten 2 pickaxes.
It also will help him siege the towers. Obviously, instead of going for the crit itemization, you can go for the flat AD as well as the Berserker Greaves and make it that much easier to just force down plates.
Well, Kold looking for a roll in top lane, not going to work. But to springboard off that point, I think that while it does give him that good tower damage, he also just didn't recall with enough money to build the Infinity Edge. So we got a component
like, why not
for
2?
that Ginsu's. Yeah, he's just, let me grab 2 of those so I can get onto that Ginsu's a little faster once I do finish.
To be fair, the odds have not been super in his favor this season, so I can see why he wouldn't want to go for the crit cloak. You know, doesn't feel super great. We'll go for the guaranteed
Here's another
damage
one
here, and that's a lot of guaranteed damage. Mithy, lamb to the slaughter, or catfish to the slaughter, but will try to trade one back. Rekkles now on a rampage, grabs yet another tower plate. Nukeduck suddenly so far behind in this lane, and everything that needed to go right on the side of Origen is now turning against them. The Urgot, the only remaining hope on this lineup.
I mean, there's a pretty clear story right here, and it's that Fnatic have killed the Origen bot lane 7 times. And the only 3 kills that Origen have are all on a Tahm Kench as he dies getting dove underneath the tower. Fnatic have played this one so well that even the kills have gone on to the correct members of OG.
And that's the gamble that Origen took. The fact that they had the Ezreal and the Tahm Kench, a very defensive bot lane. They're saying, okay, if you're going to throw everything in the Rekkles basket, we will have the defensive line that you won't be able to crack. Fnatic called them on their bluff and smashed it.
Yeah, and I mean, for Origen, they wanted to play this sort of composition that came through the laning phase sort of without much action, and then use the power of a LeBlanc and Ezreal to sort of jump forward, find poke, and take control over the middle lane. Right now, they're looking for Broxah.
Checking out Broxah. Mithy has used the ultimate, though. Of course, ultimate is available for Hylissang. Ball not going to connect either. So ultimate's used there. Fishing on the side of OG, though. Clearly just looking for a weakness in the Fnatic lineup.
Right now, there's not much of one because Fnatic are sieging mid lane, using Kaisa down on the bottom side, but they have the duo here. They want to go.
The ulti is available for Rekkles as well. He can move in here. Starting to walk up. Broxah needs to be careful. Kold just throwing that one out, but the spell shield is there as well. Kold now in the middle of the team, but chasing Rekkles. Rekkles on the back line just leaps right over that wall to move in on a Kold. They cannot catch the AD carry as he leaps back to his team for safety. Oh! It's this guy's not going to kill Nukeduck too. Nukeduck trying desperately to hold on his life. The clone there, the homie to balk that one for him. The flash for Nemesis is coming alive in this game.
And it just smells of desperation from Origen. They immediately vacate the bot lane. That tower's too low. Rekkles had the charge. He was building up the creep wave. They knew it was going to fall, so they wanted to make a play with the Abyssal Voyage, but they bite off way more than they can chew.
And Fnatic read them like a book, right? I mean, they have Hylissang look like a bait. Broxah steps a little bit too far forward.
Look high in fiber. Look delicious.
Exactly. I mean, and they bring Origen all the way inside of their own jungle. Then they use the Galio to sort of stall it out. And all that time, Rekkles had pushed bottom lane and made the rotation over to now find himself sitting 5-0-4 with that Infinity Edge and puts himself in a position to completely carry this game.
Taking another look at this one, it should be noted also all of the control vision that Fnatic have as they're luring Origen deeper and deeper into this.
Also, let's be clear, Ezreal at this point does not do damage. He has a tier and an Iceborne Gauntlet. That's not much in the ways of these fights. While Hylissang and Broxah did get low, there just wasn't the DPS with a Tahm Kench, Nunu, Ezreal that do anything.
absolutely brutal to watch. Nukeduck just barely able to escape, courtesy of that LeBlanc passive, and a truly difficult game for the Origen lineup as a whole. Alphari, the only man untouched, and I think mostly because Fnatic just haven't gone to his lane yet. They've been focused everywhere else. A very different story for OG this week. Last week, they felt pretty untouchable. They felt like they might be able to contest the top of the table, and this week, Fnatic are showing up huge. Oh. Move in, Nukeduck. Now the ulti comes out. Immediately the snowball is let go.
Broxah thinking maybe there was a little bit more to that play than initially seen. He did end up using the darkness here as Alphari also popped the ghost from the unsealed spellbook to see if maybe there was going to be a play happening in the middle lane, but Origen cannot match Fnatic at this point. They need to find pockets on the map where they can have a numbers advantage if they ever want to look for a play, but honestly, right now, they just need to be in damage control, clear as many waves as possible, and not get picked by Zoe.
Oh, sleepy Tahm Kench, no cleanse. Does have the thick skin and about 300 real health remaining at this point in the game, so that Zoe one shot will come through at some point.
The unfortunate reality for Origen right now is that there's nothing for them to contest or trade on the map in terms of it.
Oh!
Clinched.
Nice try. Yep.
Release. For them to trade on the map. The mid tower is about to fall, top tower is about to fall, and it was the Infernal already picked up for Fnatic before they went to the rotation for Rift Herald. So just very cleanly played from Fnatic that leaves Origen to say, okay, we can farm our jungle, and we can farm bot lane, and that's about it.
Yeah, and there's not much you can do in the way of making plays, and we were really excited by the Nunu at the start because it is a strong early game champion that can sort of pressure you by outrunning you and being faster than you. But at this point in the game, it's really hard for Nunu to do much of anything because his windup is so slow. It's very easy for Fnatic to dodge and engage, and now that we get into a team fight, you wonder, what does he offer? And the honest truth that because all of his CC is so delayed, the answer, it's just not much.
Yeah, it's basically zone control. With the Urgot and the Nunu, it's supposed to offer so much zone and control over a fight that the repeated poke damage from LeBlanc and Ezreal is what carries Origen. But at this point, because the carries are so far behind and aren't finding that burst damage, there's just not a lot of options for how they would want to even fight these things.
And also zone control is great, but the Nunu's 0-3. That's not a lot of control. He can put that zone down, but they just don't care. The Urgot, yes, is scary, but just might not be enough. You can already see GA coming in for Broxah, and I just want to remind you kind of the stakes of this game. We take a look at the standings, you can see that every game has to be won by Fnatic right now. They need every single win they can get, and they want to push up. They want to contest the top of the table, and for Origen, we thought after last week's game that they would skyrocket up, that they would move into that #2 position after beating G2, but that looks to not be the case. And Rekkles, instant ulti now, comes out to keep himself alive, but Nukeduck's starting to threaten.
You can see the game plan. It's a Fnatic Death Brush, Nukeduck style. Hide behind a corner, wait until someone unsuspecting walks by, and make sure that you have a numbers advantage or at least a power advantage.
Nukeduck.
Round 2.
He's hoping. He's praying that Rekkles is the one to walk up that time.
The best part about this is he's sitting on Sork shoes and a lost chapter. He doesn't even have a completed item yet, and he's still able to put a lot of pressure on towards Rekkles. So honestly, if you're an Origen fan right now, it's like, okay, Nukeduck, can you find a pick? Maybe that is how we can get back into this game. But Fnatic are walking around, you know, tag team each other, having that little buddy system going on. It's going to be really difficult for him to do that.
And everyone on Origen is trying to survive right now, and Nukeduck has a very secret, very special mission, it feels like, and that is to secure a 1,000 gold bounty from this Kaisa. He sees the defensive tools are limited. If he can just one-shot Rekkles, maybe that is their way back in the game. And Nukeduck has been kind of the center for this team in so many of their matchups. Patrik, maybe 1 or 2 of them, but Nukeduck definitely at the core of the vast majority of their wins, especially the one against G2. So maybe this is the avenue for OG to come back, is him having a champion like LeBlanc who can single-handedly change the pace of games.
Yeah, and I agree with the mentality here, but it's so hard to find any sort of pick when you have the Goonies of Galio, Nocturne, and Rekkles just escorting themselves from farm to farm, from lane to lane, and laying down all this aggressive forward vision.
Yeah, I think another strength here of this Fnatic comp is that they can lay down that vision very easily because you have this Galio support, even Sion if he's with your team. It gives you a lot of tools to sort of walk into the enemy jungle and face check brush because you know even if Origen are all sitting there, you're still stronger than them in a fight. You just need that tanky member to sort of face check and procure that vision for your team, and that lets you set up for the eventual Zoe picks as Sion tries to get back to top lane.
Yeah, just ult in the lane. No more aggressive plays from Fnatic. You can tell, though, that OG hesitate for a second. Not sure exactly where he's going to go.
You're on a ward.
Goes over
get
the
him
wall.
This time.
Rekkles knows what's coming. Oh, they're baiting.
This is not good.
This is rude.
Rekkles is like, oh, I'm going to look tasty. Look at how I stand next to this wall, setting you up for the perfect flash distortion.
No. There's 4 people coming to you, buddy.
Poro.
Nemesis has exhaust. There's just nothing. No!
Surprise! because here we go. Goodbye to Nukeduck. Can't dodge the Acathian rain. Just gonna get point and clicked and dead.
I'm gonna say though, the paranoia on top. Really? Was it necessary?
Yeah, it was, because they just slammed OG's mental. Just completely blew it out of the water. Nukeduck had this whole elaborate strategy set up, and Fnatic just told him that it wasn't allowed in this game because they are the masters of the Rift this time around. That's
the deep side play from Nukeduck, where the Sleepy Trouble Bubble hits you and you're like, I'm on a ward. And that's all you say to your team, and they go, dang it, no. Like, you needed to kill Rekkles. You had to. But now we see 6K gold lead for Fnatic. That is not something I expected to be saying today, but Fnatic are absolutely destroying this early game, and it does start to build confidence for this team moving into their matches to come.
And especially moving into this Baron to come, because that's a Mountain Drake that just went down on a Kaisa team that's ahead of the clock right now. Rekkles is very fed, and any access to this Baron pit on top of Mountain is just going to shred through this objective. There is no slowing down for Fnatic if they play their cards right.
Yeah, and I 100% agree, and Origen noticed the same thing too, because if you look at the top side...
Ward.
4 control wards, a Scuttle Crab, another ward outside of their Raptor camp as well. So Origen know what's going on. Unfortunately, because they're all control wards, Fnatic can clear them out very, very easily, but it's the right mentality here for Origen to try to see the poke of the Zoe coming from a long way away.
I've got the plan. You lay down enough control wards that it takes them an hour just to clear all the 4 shots.
At this point, you are very behind in gold, so I think if you donated 300 gold via 10 control wards, they might respect it.
Are you saying that's how they have to stall?
Like, I think Froskurinn's analytical point there was really just to point out how very much Fnatic favorite this is. Now, we saw a Zoe game earlier today where Zoe got ahead, and the reason that game went on a little longer than it might should have was that, you know, a few skill shots were missed. And now I feel like OG are putting their hands in the air and they're saying, gods of RNG, make Nemesis miss today. Because that is a 3-0-3, 850 gold bounty, 9 Magi stack, Luden's Echo, Zoe. And we are 20 minutes into the game.
Don't even need Zoe to end this game, though, because Fnatic want to 2-man that Baron.
Just threatening it. Just looking for the opportunity. For OG, once again, it is the name of the game is stalling. You have a Nunu. Level 10 only, admittedly, but the potential for a Miracle Steal is there.
Now see what Nemesis does around this. Watch it. Actually, Mithy. Oh, boy.
Flash over the wall. Needs to be careful. Good snowball. Blocks the engage there. Nemesis now poking out. That's going to be a sleepy Nunu. If they kill the jungle here, they are set to get it. But Nukeduck on the flank. That's the man that you have to watch. Leaps in, tries to throw in a bit of damage, but the immediate taunt, and he goes godlike from Rekkles. You have to respect that Galio taunt, but Nukeduck too desperate to fish for the opportunity.
And now Fnatic moves straight towards the Baron. Nemesis is still going to sit inside this jungle because you see he can throw max range bubbles trying to pick off individual members. Patrik can't really get close, or does he want to take the chance?
Has the flash, can just make it right out to safety. We'll go over the wall with that one, throws down a bit of poke onto it. He's going to set Galio up for the engage here. Fnatic now with the split call, but Broxah just going right for the support. They're going to blow him up. Nobody gets a chance to survive, but they're in the pit. Keep your eyes on the Nunu. Where's it going to go? 9K, it's dropping lower. Oh, they're going to get it! OG find the Baron. They sacrifice everything for it in the end, but they do manage to take it away. And it is the briefest glimmer of hope, but it comes at the cost of an ace, and still Fnatic are in control.
I mean, frankly, breadcrumbs, because Nukeduck didn't even get the Baron himself. He didn't spawn fast enough, and you could see what Fnatic wanted to do. They knew that they were against a Nunu. It was going to be a smite in favor of Origen if he ever got into the pit, so they wanted to make sure that they killed him, but Kold managed to get into the pit.
And honestly, Fnatic did play that really well. They kept it sitting at about 3K coming in, but Alphari and Kold both flashed over the wall. Alphari had smite, Kold had smite, Kold had consume. That bursted it almost for 2,500 damage. That is incredible stuff coming out of Origen to try and just stay alive.
Just a small hiccup, though, in what has otherwise been such a strong Fnatic performance, though. They don't need the Baron to close out this game. They are still very well ahead.
Guys, remember when I talked about how scary the Zoe was? We'll talk about it after the replay, but she definitely has a death cabinet and almost fully stacked Magi's, and she's already almost one-shotting people in this fight.
And right off the bat, you see Nemesis playing around this Raptor camp because it's so strong. You can throw out the max range sleeps. Then Nukeduck thinks, oh, maybe it can burst Broxah, but, well, Hylissang's a little bit too fast on the reaction there. So they get the pick on towards the mid laner. Then we have to watch this setup because even though you can't see it on the scoreboard, Alphari switches over to Smite. Fnatic try to keep this around 3k HP, but here come the flashes over the wall. Notice how quickly they're able to burst this one down because it's honestly impressive from 2.8k.
Cool. Watch it. 2, 3.
Smite, consume. Boom.
Wow. Well,
Really
and
nicely
during
done.
the duration, I believe, of Broxah's GA too, just to make sure that it was not contested. So really everything came together for OG to get that one. Of course, it's an ace, so no one gets the buff. A nice 1,500 gold in the back pocket of OG to lower this to a 9k gold advantage. And once again, 23 stack Magi's Death Cap Zoe. Something to be afraid of.
Just wait, Drakos, until they get the 2 1k shutdown bounties, the 700 on Broxah.
This is that kind of game where you're going to kill Zoe and she's still going to have a 1k bounty, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're very
Definitely Rekkles. He's
glass
popping
half
up.
full type of guy.
We got to give him something,
Oh,
Frost.
God.
Look at the damage.
But what about damage to Baron, stats team?
Ooh.
Give us something positive
Didn't think
for
of that
OG,
one.
because we're running out. I'll be honest, we're running out. Not a lot of gas left in the tank here. Urgot, the Shining Light, unfortunately, still very vulnerable to the sheer amount of damage. Rekkles is 3 items in and has now built a defensive item as well. And really, everything that can go right for Fnatic, other than the Baron, has gone right.
Yeah, I mean, the itemization is just not even close between these two teams at the moment. But the Baron Steel does end up stalling out this game. Fnatic are going to try to get a little creative now with how they find this next fight.
Ooh, Rekkles all for this. Ooh, I wasn't sure. I feel like he has enough confidence right now to try to 1v1 the LeBlanc. Don't think it would work, but I'd want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, you play enough games against LeBlanc, right? As an AD carry, where you just get one shot every time. Sometimes when you're in a game
The
like this, it's like,
memory
I'm
sticks.
the assassin now. And you make that play. But Rekkles, he's a pro player. He's not going to make that mistake, man.
He also knows that that mistake would cost his team 1,000 gold, so doesn't want to risk it, does not want to put any gold into the LeBlanc's pocket, but does threaten. You can see Nukeduck immediately forced to use the ulti version of the distortion just to make it to safety.
I mean, while we say that, you know, Origen's still massively behind, still tears for them, ultimately, by stealing away the Baron, they did slow down Fnatic. All they've gotten now is, what, another dragon to their name. They've pushed in a bunch of waves, but Origen have eaten up a bunch of free gold. They didn't lose any of their inhibs. I'm really digging deep here. Come on, up on up.
Keep saying words.
All right, I'll keep giving you words.
Mithy is still handsome. You know, a lot of things still going for him.
His haircut, currently, what, 100% win rate?
100% win rate. Could change.
That stat doesn't lie.
We're digging. Ender, bring us back on track, my friend.
Well, I was going to say, because Fnatic have already taken all the outer and inner towers, they can't really get any more until next Baron
Ooh,
spawns.
silver linings. I like it. Well, no doubt, of course, you want to build up hope for the OG comeback for those OG fans out there, because in theory, I mean, it's possible. But League, at the end of the day, is a game of snowballing, and Fnatic certainly have snowballed. Once again, Magi's.
Okay, so let's talk about Origen, right? How do they get into the pit again to steal Baron?
But here's the thing, they don't
Yeah.
ever need to be the Baron. I was actually really curious why Fnatic didn't actually just force down this tower, because when your Zoe has Death Cap, Magi's, is that fed, you can just rock up to it and start throwing bubbles, because whoever you connect with, they're dead.
Yeah, and I mean, what Origen were doing, they were sneaking through top lane to try and put vision down on Baron, but that just left their middle lane exposed, and if Origen aren't grouped as 5 members with a severe numbers advantage, you're just going to start losing these structures without the wave clear there to knock out these waves.
But it does kind of tell us how important this match is for Fnatic, that they are playing it quite slowly, despite having this massive lead, despite having this incredibly fed Zoe. It does feel like a certain degree of caution has come in, and while they were so explosive in the early game, they go, okay, wait, we're winning. Let's not throw it away.
And you know, looking at the strength of schedule for Fnatic, because they faced both Origen and Vitality this week, I was actually really curious. You know, it didn't matter if they made all of this massive growth and development in scrims, because strength of schedule would say that they would lose these games for how they've recently been performing. And I was just like, oh no, Fnatic, they're going to be stuck in this rut. They're going to walk into games that everyone expects them to lose, and it doesn't matter, and they're just going to fall backwards in momentum. But this is huge now. Finding this momentum here could mean that tomorrow's game against Vitality is completely different.
Now watch this from Kold. He's coming around the back. Fight going to be started.
Eyes on Nukeduck. Where's he going to go? Cold's going to take a lot of damage here. The turnaround immediately. The Nunu dies. They just do not have the stats. They are just getting destroyed across the map. Nukeduck just barely going to be able to make it out. Alphari desperate to get something back on Rekkles. He doesn't even do damage to the Kaisa. Patrik, goodbye to you. Nukeduck next on the menu. Nemesis chasing him down, looking for a bit of revenge. I'll take that flash.
Revenge, baby!
Auto attack you. Double drops. Triple drops. Fnatic absolutely destroying Origen.
Where's your vein now, Nukeduck?
Not here, not on the rip. Fnatic are barreling straight down. They don't need the Baron.
They're going to end it. Double demolish procs. They come in, they break one tower. They're protecting the minion wave. Everything here. Fnatic take down Origen.
Last week, Origen did that to G2. They blew them out of the water. This week, Fnatic comes straight back in and wave it around in the face of Origen. This team is looking to be on the rise. They needed to win this game if they want to make that run for playoffs, and after performance like that, it looks good for Fnatic.
Fnatic have never missed playoffs as an organization, and they don't want to start now. The big question for me is what type of form was Rekkles what type of form would Rekkles be in? Is he going to be the hard carry Rekkles, or is he going to be hard carried by his mid laner Rekkles? And today, Priority picked the Kaisa, blew up the bot lane, and dismantled Origen.
And so many teams, when they're down and out, when their backs are against the wall and they're in these positions where they're losing so many games, pull their foot off the gas. Fnatic, when the pressure was on, they put their foot on the gas. That was a level 2 Nocturne in that bot lane. That was Tahm Kench getting killed multiple times before he hit level 2. That was Hylissang not hesitating to go for that aggressive level 1 play where if they had lost, let's say if that had turned against them, putting themselves into deficit, it feels like it would have instantly hurt them around.
And look, that level 1, level 2 play is not something you learn. That's not something you really encounter in scrims where you just get a kill level 1 and then say, hey, let's practice diving level 2 as Nocturne. No, this is something Fnatic put together on the fly and executed to near perfection.
And it's life in this squad. You know, it felt like it was just a flat line for the longest time, especially from that jungle position. Broxah looked lost. He wasn't syncing with his team. Suddenly, they come to life, making these very aggressive plays and showing that Fnatic are still here.
They came in with a clear game plan. That is something that this team said was they were struggling with in the past. Too many voices, not knowing exactly what to do. They shored that up by all getting on the same page, and you can see the story right here on your screen. It was just not even close.
And Shox asked, this should be a speed bump. Fnatic are a speed bump to Origen. That looks like a ramp, and they just flew off of Origen.
Maybe that can ramp them up enough to continue this miracle playoffs run, but for Fnatic, no doubt an incredibly impressive game, and I think the way that they transitioned that lead out of bot lane, that they brought it to mid lane, all these globals, and you have to imagine the pick ban strategy up against Fnatic is going to change, because I see 3 AD carries. I see 4 bot lane bans total picked up against them, and I start to wonder, maybe we see the Galio ban, maybe we see the strategy shift for this Fnatic lineup, because they absolutely destroyed that matchup.
If you're going to dig that deep for ADC bans, just throw 5.
Yeah, go all in.
Just go Kaisa Jinx. See what happens.
Then they get the Yorick AD carry. Can't let it happen.
We've already seen an Urgot jungle.
Look, I'm fishing. I'm fishing. I have to understand. But of course, as we close out the day, I have one important question for the viewers. We need to talk about it a little bit. Who was the key player of the game?
I wonder.
Rekkles, Nemesis, Hylissang. You guys can go at LeSports on Twitter and vote. The poll should be up in a few moments. I think we can talk about this. Is it Rekkles or Hylissang? Because Nemesis was good, but the lead came from other places. Hylissang and Rekkles, talk to me.
So here's the thing. Most people are going to go, Rekkles, he's probably going to get it. That's how this always goes. Rekkles is in a poll. He's going to win it. Hilly deserves it. Hilly was the Galio. He got the taunts. He protected Rekkles. He set up the ganks. Do Hilly some justice.
Supports need justice. They need some player of the games because they never get them, and honestly, I fully agree. Hylissang set up completely for Rekkles. They made the dives happen. They baited an Origen in that one sick engage, and he was a big reason why they won.
But Rekkles did damage.
He did so much damage.
Counter argue. Wow. All right. For more on Fnatic's win, here is QuickShot with their support and coach.
Thank you very much. Hylissang, I'm sure you heard some of that, but the shoutcasters were yelling and screaming for all the fans at home to vote for you for player of the game. Dude, how does it feel taking down Origen after Origen just took down G2?
Actually, it feels very great to win against Mithy because I think so far he has won everything against me. So I was like, even today I was just feeling that today I'm going to win against him, and it just feels great. Like,
why did it look so easy? Like, there was a confidence to your play today that I feel like I haven't seen all year long.
Maybe I was not on Braum, I don't know. Obviously, I think they got really outdrafted, and I even looked at them when they picked Galio. Like, they didn't know what to do. They were like really slow in pick and buy. We were just locking our champions instantly, and we were just confident that we have the better draft, and I think we executed pretty well, and I think they screwed up level 1. I don't know what they were doing, but it was really weird. I saw him and I was like, Rekkles just killed this guy, and he just died. And then level 1, Tahm Kench first checked me in the bush again, and he just died again, so I don't know what was.
It just felt like everything was going your way.
Yeah, maybe they were not experienced against Galio, but yeah.
Well, it definitely worked out. Joey, when Hilly mentioned not being on Braum, you gave me a bit of a grin there. What was it like watching backstage and seeing the team and just how well they played today?
At some points during the game, we actually had to laugh out very hard because we were listening to the comms, and Hilly was giggling like a schoolgirl whenever he was taunting people and killing people. So it's great to see them play with a lot of confidence and having a lot of fun while winning.
Is this something that we can come to expect in a lot of the Fnatic fans? Is this now the baseline that Fnatic can perform? Because it's something that you guys have been talking about, fixing some of the issues, working through them. We've heard a lot of self-reflection. But today it really shone through that Fnatic is a contender.
I think we have been progressing a lot in our early and mid game, getting our leads and snowballing them correctly, not making the games very stale and slow. At the same time, we've also practiced only 2 or 3 specific drafts, and today was one of them. Tomorrow we'll show the other one. And that's why we're also very confident, because we've been playing the same 2 to 3 drafts the entire week. So we go on stage, we lock it in, we know it doesn't matter what you guys pick, we're going to play our game. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it's very, very exciting. I want to turn your attention to the screen in a second, because I'm going to ask our production team to pull the standings up. This win puts Fnatic now at 4 wins and 7 losses. You guys are 1 game behind SK and Misfits, and when I look at your strength of schedule, you play Misfits. So, you know, this really puts the playoff race into an 8-team competition. Hylissang, how important is it to you when you look at how close the standings are to know that you're still in with a very real shot at playoffs?
It means everything. Like today, if we lost, it probably be like extremely difficult to go to playoffs. So today and tomorrow is like really crucial for us, and winning against Misfits will mean a lot.
Now, of course, tomorrow, Youngbuck, you guys play Vitality. Vitality is sitting now in sole control of 2nd place. Are they more scary to you than Origen? You know, when you looked at this week, it was a difficult week. There was a lot on the line. So what was your perception of the team's strengths and how you match up against them?
I think both Origen and us really like playing with the bot lane centered, mid lane centered, so really in the bot side of the map, whereas Vitality is one of the few teams in the LEC, if not the only one, who is completely top side focused. So I would say I'm more afraid of Vitality because it's something you don't practice against a lot. So it's difficult to predict what they're actually going to do in the game.
All right, Hylissang, just one more question about tomorrow's matchup. We've seen Attila and Jack Troll have very wildly different performances in lane, some great games, some terrible games. How is it going to be for you and Rekkles tomorrow going up against them?
I don't think it's anything special. I think, for example, Origen botlane is better than Vitality, so I think it will be slightly easier.
Well, there we go. Slightly easier. Listen, I have just heard from my production team that the key player of the game is Hylissang. So congratulations. The shoutcasters were cheering. Everybody here in Berlin is putting their hands together. How does it feel to have the fans voting for you?
I mean, it feels great to be on the pool for MVP, but even greater to be the MVP. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, congratulations, Hylissang. Congratulations, Youngbuck. I'm very excited to see how Fnatic continues in this playoff race. For now, we're going to head over to the post-game lobby with the Shoxing gang.